I'm a feminist. I will argue for women's rights. I will do everything I can to protect women's rights for as long as I live. But I also think it's an important part of my responsibility to make life a little bit easier for stigmatised minorities in our country, to make their lives a bit better and to remove some of the trauma that they live with on a day-to-day basis. And I think it is important to do that for the tiny minority of trans people in our society, and I will never apologise for trying to spread equality.
The result of the vote on motion 7312 in the name of Shona Robertson is yes 86, no 39. There were no abstentions. The motion is therefore agreed and the Gender Recognition Reform Scotland Bill is passed.
In my view, there are no grounds to challenge this legislation. It is within the competence of the Scottish Parliament. It doesn't affect the operation of the Equality Act, and it was passed by an overwhelming majority of the Scottish Parliament after very lengthy and very intense scrutiny by MSPs of all parties represented in the Parliament. So if there is a decision to challenge, then in my view it will be quite simply a political decision, and I think it will be using trans people, already one of the most vulnerable, stigmatised groups in our society, as a political weapon, and I think that will be unconscionable.
Today I will make an order under Section 35 of the Scotland Act 1998, preventing the Gender Recognition Reform Scotland Bill from proceeding to royal assent.
Did you direct the Scottish Prison Service to remove Isla Brycia from Carterville Prison?
The Scottish Prison Service has arrived at a decision that's an operational matter. I think it's arrived at the right decision here. It's important that every prisoner is individually risk assessed, and that's an important principle. But as I've just said in the Chamber, notwithstanding that, as a general presumption in principle, the comments that I read out from the Chief Executive of Rape Crisis Scotland, that it can't be right for a rapist to be in a female prison, is a statement that I agree with. Whatever any individual's view of that legislation might be, has no impact on the decisions or the procedures of the Scottish Prison Service in deciding where prisoners serve their sentence. And even if the legislation was in force, which it's not, it wouldn't have an impact. I wouldn't use the word ideology, but the important principle here is that where in any group an individual commits an offence or behaves inappropriately or wrongly, you deal with that individual. And in this case, the individual is a rapist. That's the important description for this individual. They have been convicted of rape and they are in prison, and in a male prison. So you deal with the individual. You don't further stigmatise the entire group. And when that time came, to have the courage to do so, even if to many across the country and in my party it might feel too soon. In my head and in my heart, I know that time is now, that it is right for me, for my party and for the country. And so today I am announcing my intention to step down as First Minister and leader of my party. I have asked the National Secretary of the SNP to begin the process of electing a new party leader, and I will remain in office until my successor is elected.